right, now what we're going to do in this particular video, the haves and the have-nots. First off, thanks for watching the video, because obviously you have an interest in having the have-nots by clicking on this one. But I just wanted to give credit to OWN, Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry Studios, because we'll be using a short clip from Veronica's house where we have Wyatt attacking his parents after Jim cut open his bag of drugs and put it down the sink. So let's watch the clip.
No, I need it. I need it.
You don't need to calm down
anymore. Why? You don't touch your mother.
No!
Ah!
Oh, no!
All right, now we just saw the shocking cliffhanger of Veronica's house, and I said it before in the episode review that this should have been the episode that they aired before the show went on break, because this was an overall solid episode with a cliffhanger that has people talking. I think that people definitely would have been talking about this over the last month and a half rather than how terrible episode 10 was. But with that being said, this video is about the scene that I feel like this is probably one of the most talked about things of Veronica's house, aside from talking about Hannah's wig and Veronica's ponytail. This was definitely one of the biggest scenes from the episode itself, because people would not stop talking about Catherine being laid out by that backhand that Wyatt gave her. All I saw were people talking about, if I would have hit my mom the way Wyatt did, or if I would have even thought about doing it, I would be dead right now. It's just crazy, because honestly, even though Jim and Catherine are not the Corey and Topanga in terms of being one of TV's greatest relationships, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, I don't think that in the history of their marriage or relationship, I don't believe it was ever seen on the show or brought to our attention via these characters talking about their past. I don't believe it was ever mentioned that Jim laid hands on Catherine the way that Wyatt did in that episode. We knew this was coming, because if you remember the trailer that was at the end of A Lover's Passion in March, we knew that Wyatt was going to attack his parents, and we saw the blood coming down from Catherine's mouth, so we knew that in some way Wyatt was probably going to attack her. But to actually see it played out, man, and I know it sounds like I'm stumbling over my words here, but even though I have notes for this video, I just was in shock going back to look at that clip, because it really was hard to watch. And you know, then hitting Jim upside the head with that bottle, to me, really mirrors the situation where Catherine hit Candace in the back of the head, and when Jeffrey did the same thing to Quincy back at his apartment. But in this scene, it just held more merit, because with Candace, it's just like, ha ha, this horse finally get what's coming to her. With Quincy's like, yeah, that's right, because he threatened Jeffrey's life, this is what he gets. But with Wyatt doing it to his parents, come on now. And what's even worse is the fact that Wyatt did it to Jim when Jim had his guard down because he was rushing to help out Catherine. And that's probably the only good thing that came out of that scene, was that we saw that Jim and Catherine at the core, they still care about each other. Like, despite the craziness and the emotion and the shock of that scene, you know, from backhanding Catherine to hitting Jim upside the head with the bottle, then getting that statue acting like he's going to smash their heads in. Just seeing the fact that those two had each other's back was enough for me. That was just fantastic to watch, given the fact that those two have been through a lot of bad, some good, but mainly a lot of bad. Yeah, look at that scene again. You'll see that Jim had no problem pushing Wyatt aside and scolding him for saying, you don't hit your mother like that. Then when he gets hit upside the head, Catherine tries to help him up, like, oh my God. That was the only good part about it. And, you know, it's kind of sad to say, and again, just pure speculation here, if Wyatt dies, I don't know if that means Catherine and Jim will get back together or become closer to console each other, because obviously I feel like in some way there's definitely going to be some anger between the two, because on it, we figure that Amanda was murdered, not suicide. But at the core of it, it really is Jim's fault to an extent, because if he had listened to Catherine and had her put into an institution, there's no guarantee, but the chances of her still being alive may have been greater than the results of where the show is now. With Wyatt, there are just so many reasons that Jim is at fault for this. Yeah, Veronica had Toxic put in the cell to rape him and all that stuff. But remember that if Jim would have got Wyatt out of jail when Catherine told him to, remember those two went to see Wyatt. He was begging to get out of there. But, they didn't do it. And then as they were driving away from the jail, Catherine was like, look, we need to, oh, sorry about that. There's like a dump truck outside the window. So I hope y'all can't hear that. Oh, sorry, that was actually a motorcycle. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, as they were driving away from the jail, Catherine said, you know what, we need to turn this thing around because I have a bad feeling about this. And Jim was like, no, just going to stay in there a little bit longer to break him. And lo and behold, at the end of that same episode, that's when Toxic is put in the cell and Wyatt went through that traumatic experience. Now, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to title the video. Wyatt attacked his parents. Why did Wyatt attack his parents? Has he lost his mind? Obviously, we know it boils down to drugs. I feel like that goes without saying. But I also want to talk about the possibility of what if Wyatt actually does die by the end of the season. I will admit that for the first time, his drug addiction, in terms of how that affects not only himself but the people around him, I feel like this is one of the best ways of writing that story. But to be honest, I feel like we've seen this with Wyatt way too many times. That's not to say there aren't other characters in the show who have repetitive storylines, but it would not surprise me if Wyatt is gone by the end of this season. I'm not saying that because I dislike the character. I'm just saying that because of the fact that I feel like we've seen this played out one too many times. I just feel like at this point, you're either going to put him in rehab for good, he's going to get clean, or it's just time to let him go from the show. That's just my opinion on that. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that it really is interesting to see him attack his parents, because remember, Amanda was doing the same thing while they were asleep, running around with that gun. But to actually see Wyatt physically attack his parents like that, it was just very shocking to me. And the fact that they still love their son despite all this says a lot about the two of them as parents. But with that being said, this is more of just a reaction video. When I was recording this, when I was writing my notes, I was thinking this would be some, grand theory breaking down the psychology of it. But I feel like everybody who has watched this show, I don't need to do like a psychology lesson on this. Wyatt attacked his parents out of rage for the drugs. We already know he has bad blood with them to begin with. And it's sad because if he only knew what his mother was saying to him while he was in that coma. Remember when he almost overdosed and died, when he was in the hospital in that coma, when Catherine went in there, she was all broken up about it. I wish that he would have heard what she was saying. But, man, yeah, this turned into a reaction video without me even knowing it. But that's just because this scene was just so freaking shocking. But, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yeah, let's make this a reaction video. What was going through your head when you saw that cliffhanger, when you saw Wyatt backhand Catherine, knock Jim upside the head with the bottle? And I think that Jim had a few cuts on his face, very small cuts from that glass that was when Wyatt hit him upside the head with the bottle, some of the glass shards. I think that some of that blood, some of those shards like cut his cheek, very, very small cuts. But yeah, that was a tough scene to see. But I think it's clear to know that Catherine and Jim are not going to be killed due to the fact that we see them in the trailers for upcoming episodes and they look perfectly fine. But I doubt that things are going to be fine after the aftermath of Wyatt trying to smash him upside the head. We even see in the extended trailer that I think this is at Catherine's new house. We see Jim and Catherine there, and Wyatt's going out the door. It's like, look, if I can't put you in jail, I'll just kill you myself. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. But yeah, that was a powerful scene, and if Tyler Perry has more in store for us, which he did say there are some more mind-blowing episodes in this season, we better strap ourselves in, because I think this is definitely the tip of the iceberg. So as always, comment your thoughts below, give this video a like, show your support for the channel, subscribe, and share this video around, because I really want to get as many fans to talk about their thoughts about this scene as possible. This really does take the haves and the have-nots to a new level.